Thank you so much for coming in to Maleng. I really do appreciate it. If you could perhaps, to start off with, tell us a bit about the greenhouse project that you are the operations manager for.
Yes. The greenhouse project is a project in Joubert Park, in the northwest corner of Joubert Park, if you know the park exactly. It's an outreach and demonstration area in which we basically advocate for sustainable development, in the sense that we educate people and we demonstrate the technologies that we talk about. For instance, solar panels. Some people might not have seen solar panels in their life. So they come to the greenhouse project, they see solar panels, and they see that they work. We also have what you call compostable toilets, where you don't use water. So that is part of the elements that you are showing there. But the most important part is, when we talk about issues like climate change, we tend to be highbrow in the sense that we talk about policies. But how do we translate those policies to the communities on the ground, so they know that how to basically engage the policies and to understand the policies and to make the policies their own? Because if we go on campaigns, we tend to miss a lot of the people that should be part of the campaign, because in actual fact, people want to see programs which address those issues happening in their localities.
Now, it's important that you speak about that grassroots level projects, as it were. Do you believe that for too long, the conversation around climate change in South Africa has been about what government needs to do, or what people are doing overseas, or what privileged people have enough time to worry about, and not enough focus on the fact that it is actually the poorest of the poor in South Africa that probably bear the brunt of the repercussions of climate change?
Yes, because I mean, when the way the message has been put, it's been such a way that you basically alienate the people who should be part of the mainstream of that message. So in the sense that when you talk about climate change, they tend to think that, oh no, it's for the rich people, it's not for us. But in actual fact, they'll be the most affected people in their localities. So it's easy for you to say, how do we translate that to a project that they will see? And in this point in time, we're not talking about adaptation, mitigation, we're talking about adaptation here. So how will they be able to adapt in terms of when the adversities of climate change comes in? So we talk about projects which are also entrepreneurial. I mean, people have been talking about 1 million renewable jobs. But then when you go to communities and you ask what renewable jobs, they don't see them practically happening, because people you know that jobs are, you go to a factory, you work there, you are a salesperson at a Checkers or whatever. But when you talk about entrepreneurial aspects of renewable technologies or renewable or sustainable technologies, people have not been informed on that.
Now, speaking of projects, you were telling me this morning you spent time in Soweto, and a Greenhouse Project has a few programs that they're running there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
What we're doing at the Greenhouse Project is, we've basically, because we realize that bees are the most adversely affected by climate change. So we're basically developing entrepreneurial skills, or teaching people how to basically become bee farmers as an entrepreneurial project and to produce honey. But we also have biodigesters that we have, where we take basically organic material, but preferably cow dung or dung, and you put it in there, so that basically we produce what you call a biogas, and biogas which will be used to cook in the kitchen. So people don't know that process, because they think you buy to go to LP, you pay the 180, they give you a 9 kg cylinder. But when you say no, in actual fact, your produce can be producing that gas that you use in the kitchen as an alternative energy to electricity, because electricity for us is going to be very expensive very soon. So now we need to find alternative ways of doing that. So if you develop entrepreneurs, especially the youth, who will be basically able to run with those projects and becomes local-based entrepreneurs, then it will be easy to also infuse some economic development in those localities.
Now, one of the biggest stories of the year involved a big focus on a township like Alex, as it were. And a big issue there was a lack of service delivery at the time that wasn't picking up just basic garbage on a weekly basis. So you'll have pictures of garbage really being heaped up. There's plastic lying everywhere. While there's an understanding, of course, that if people aren't even getting basic services and hygiene services for them, do you hope then, however, that once we start making an impact in that regard, that there will be more time for people to realize, yes, we can expect Pick It Up or one of those companies to pick up the rubbish, but this is what we can do practically to recycle all of that plastic that doesn't necessarily need to go into another dump in another part of Johannesburg.
But then, you see, that's the thing, is that local communities have been doing recycling already. You just, as the local municipality, to incorporate them into waste management stream, in the sense that you decentralize the pick-up function and you basically take waste management to communities because it's easier for them to manage. I mean, practical example is that if my bin has not been removed on Thursday because pick-up didn't pass, I know the guy who are doing recycles in my neighborhood. I just go to knock on the doors. Guys,
and those are the guys that you see
yes.
with
Why have you not picked up my bin? So I won't be stuck with a bin which will get full and then I have to go dump it somewhere. So it's easy for you to say, decentralize some of these functions, incorporate waste pickers, and also develop waste management entrepreneurs because they are already doing that. Don't alienate them. So
it allows them to make a living.
Yes. One of our advent is that as a national adaptive plan, you can take waste pickers as a mitigation against climate change in their approach to recycling. So it becomes, you use them as your national adaptive plan. You see, action plan in terms of waste management and sort of addressing climate change. Because what waste pickers do is, because most people don't understand, is that they are offsetting material which could be going into the landfill sites. And by doing that, we are not forced to build more landfill sites. And we are not producing more stuff because then we're not polluting the air, because now the production of material is what basically gives us greenhouse gases. So if you mitigate against that, or if you use for alternatives like reuse, recycling, whatever, but then the most people who are in the forefront of that aspect is the communities, the recyclers, the guy you see with the bins, the dirty ones. But in actual fact, they are workers. They are important to the community.
What a great tip. Let's hope the City of Johannesburg is listening and they take that advice to heart.
I'm hoping so.
Thank you so much. The project or operations manager for Greenhouse Project, Itumeleng Mogatusi, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. All the best for all of those programs going forward.